You are listening to the People Station on greatdayradio.com.
Welcome to another Great Day Radio discussion on Relationship Talk podcast. I am your host, DJ Mikey D, along with my partner in knowledge, DJ D. Marie.
Welcome, everyone. This topic really makes me sad. It is also a reality check as a mother.
Here's something that stopped me in my tracks. Nearly half of divorced fathers lose regular contact with their children within just 2 years of separation. But the real story behind these numbers reveals something much deeper about how our society views fatherhood.
That's such a striking statistic. What made you start digging into this particular aspect of divorce?
It's personal and sad at the same time. As you know already, I have recently divorced and separated from my kids since December of 2024. It's not the breakup or divorce that hurts. It is the separation of not being a part of my kids' daily life. As time has passed, I get little to no contact from my son or daughter. I do not blame them, as they both have to play the game under their grandparents' and mother's home. I have also experienced extreme alienation from my adult kid's mother. Ironically, she still verbally chops me down to them as they are grown. For sake of time, let's continue the discussion. Besides my personal dealings, what really caught my attention was discovering this isn't just about individual family breakdowns. There's this whole historical and legal framework that's been stacking the deck against fathers for decades. The research shows family courts have traditionally shown significant bias towards mothers in custody battles.
You know what's fascinating about that? These biases are often based on really outdated gender roles that just don't reflect modern parenting dynamics.
Exactly, and here's where it gets really interesting. There's this phenomenon called parental alienation that Dr. Gardner identified back in 1985. It's where one parent might unconsciously or intentionally influence a child against the other parent during or after a contentious divorce.
That must create some pretty complex psychological dynamics. How does that typically play out?
Well, it's like this cascade effect. The emotional turmoil of divorce can trigger these subtle behaviors, maybe limiting phone calls, speaking negatively about the other parent, or scheduling conflicts with visitation. And get this, research by Johnston and Roseby shows these actions often happen without the alienating parent even realizing what they're doing.
That's exactly what makes this issue so challenging to address, isn't it? The unconscious nature of it all.
Right. And here's where the custodial arrangements come into play. Fabricus's research shows that fathers with limited visitation rights often feel like they're watching their kids' lives from the sidelines. It's not just about the time spent together. It's about being cut out of daily decisions and meaningful moments. Fabricius's research is spot on when I think about my situation.
So what do we know about the long-term impacts on both the fathers and children?
Oh man, the data here is pretty sobering. Crux studies show alienated fathers often experience severe depression and this overwhelming sense of powerlessness. But here's what's really concerning. Children in these situations tend to struggle academically, show more behavioral issues, and often develop self-esteem problems.
That reminds me of some research I came across showing how these effects can persist well into adulthood for the children involved.
You know what's interesting about that? The impact seems to be cyclical. These children sometimes grow up to have difficulties in their own relationships and parenting. But, and here's where I see some hope, there are some really promising solutions being developed.
Like what? What's actually working to address this?
Well, there's been this push for legal reforms toward shared parenting. Some jurisdictions are implementing what they call presumptive shared parenting laws, which start from the assumption that both parents should have equal time with their children. And Emory's research shows that mediation can be incredibly effective at minimizing post-divorce conflict. In a weekly panel I am a part of called Father's Voices, held by Arapahoe County Social Services, reinforces that research. Shout out to David Lawrence and team who are making these programs work.
That's fascinating. So it's really about changing both the legal framework and the way we handle the emotional aspects of divorce.
Exactly. And there's this whole public education component too. Some programs are teaching parents about the impacts of alienation before the divorce process even starts. It's like preventive medicine for family relationships.
You know what strikes me about all this? How much our understanding of father-child relationships has evolved over the past few decades.
That's such a good point. We've moved from seeing fathers as just financial providers to recognizing their crucial role in children's emotional and social development. But our legal and social systems haven't quite caught up with this new understanding.
Well, that gap between understanding and implementation must create some real challenges.
It absolutely does, but here's what gives me hope. We're seeing more advocacy for fathers' rights that's actually grounded in child welfare research. It's not just about dad's rights anymore. It's about what's best for the kids.
That seems like such a crucial shift in perspective.
You know what's really promising? The research showing that when fathers maintain strong relationships with their children post-divorce, everyone benefits. The kids do better in school, have fewer behavioral problems, and show better emotional adjustment.
That makes me wonder about the role of technology in all this, how tools like video calls and shared calendars might be helping divorced fathers stay more connected.
That's an interesting angle I hadn't considered. These tools are definitely making it easier for non-custodial parents to be present in their kids' daily lives. But they're not a substitute for addressing the underlying issues of alienation.
Speaking of underlying issues, how do cultural differences play into all this?
That's actually one of the most fascinating aspects. Different cultures have varying expectations about fathers' roles, which can either amplify or mitigate the alienation effect. Some societies are much more supportive of shared parenting after divorce.
It sounds like we're at a real turning point in how we handle these situations.
We really are. And looking ahead, I think the key is going to be implementing these solutions we've discussed, legal reforms, therapeutic support, and public education in a way that puts children's needs first while recognizing the vital role fathers play in their development.
That's such a thoughtful way to frame it, focusing on the children's needs while supporting father involvement.
Looking back at everything we've discussed, it's clear that addressing father alienation isn't just about fixing broken relationships. It's about creating a new framework for how we think about parenting after divorce. And that's something that could benefit generations to come.
Thank you, Mikey, for your insights and research. Great work. I do wish you much success at reconnecting with your kiddos. I know how important they are in your life as you talk about them daily. If you would like to comment on this podcast and/or others, please visit greatdayradio.com. Click on Let's Talk and leave a 30-second voicemail or two. Likewise, if you would like to advertise on any of our podcast or top 40 radio platforms, visit our website and click on Advertising. Stay tuned in for our next discussion about relationship sabotage and what it looks like. Until next time, be sure to share the love. Thank you for your support.
You are listening to the People Station on greatdayradio.com.